What is something that's turned you on that you are ashamed to admit? Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Thanks. Story 1. One time a long time ago, my then boyfriend and I were on a road trip with his uncle. We stopped at a motel and got a room with 2 beds. My boyfriend and I got one bed and his uncle the other. I turned toward the wall because I didn't expect my boyfriend to want to do anything considering his uncle was in the bed next to us. After a bit I heard his uncle snore a little from across the room. My boyfriend put his hand over my mouth gently and whispered, "Don't make a sound," into my ear and started kissing my neck. We silently went at it. In the dark with him covering my mouth and whispering that sentence in my ear for some reason turned me on more than I had ever been turned before. It was sort of rapey if taken out of context, so I was always really ashamed that it turned me on like it did. Story 3. I dated a girl that took charge in the bed, and I mean took charge. Fucked like a total psychopath, and it was hot as shit. Story 4. My friend's juicy ass. Story 5. Several of my friends' brothers have seen my old NSFW Reddit account. I posted more once I found out. Story 6. When she rolled over on top of me and pinned my wrists above my head. I'm pretty strong, and this woman, who topped out at 100 pounds soaking wet, made me feel fragile. It was like a surrender that I never knew I needed. But I am not ashamed to admit it. It was wholesome, haha. Story 7. This dude stood close to me and the smell of his sweat turned me on. I am still ashamed, LMAO. Story 8. Getting spit on. I'm not sure if I'm ashamed. Just surprised. Story 9. Being called daddy by an adult woman. As an actual father, I find the whole concept of HPLG disgusting. My penis, on the other hand, seems to be just fine with it. This is especially confusing because my dick seems to know if it's okay or not. A child, a teen saying daddy within an earshot even if I'm balls deep in my partner causes me to go from a diamond to a shy turtle in approximately a millisecond. Story 11. Geeky girls with hidden sexual aggressiveness. Story 12. I'm a straight woman, and Earl would not ever likely date another woman. But I get turned on by lesbian domination. To be specific with my terms, no toys included, just straight up hands and scissoring. Story 13. I once heard my neighbor getting railed. I was waiting on the street one morning waiting for an Uber, and for whatever reason she had left her window open. I heard the clapping sounds first, followed by her moans and some of the dirty talk. Regardless, I had no choice but to wait since my Uber was almost arriving. But, goddamn, did I love every second of it. I only see my neighbor in passing every so often, but I love knowing how well she must take it in bed, and I think about her getting fucked every time I walk by their house. It was so nice to overhear the sounds of people just going at it, and now I secretly hope I stumble upon something similar in the future. Story 15. For a while, I got a bit of a rush out of my ex stalking me. As someone who felt neglected as a child, it was hot to feel like he was so obsessed that he would resort to stalking to stay close to me. Until he showed up at my work, then shit went from hot to scary real quick. Story 16. I'm turned on by everything it feels like. I'm just helplessly horny. Story 17. Overhearing how hot I am. Story 18. Watching men do manual labor. Like oil rigging, auto mechanics, construction. It's hot F. Story 19. Muscular women. There, I said it. Story 20. I love it when I get woken up with foreplay or sex. I suppose it's kind of creepy, but since I'm in a committed long-term relationship, I've hinted, hey, you wake up before me and want some, go ahead and start, and now it's kinda a weekly thing, but to anyone else I would never say it. Story 21. One-piece bathing suits as opposed to bikinis. Story 22. Having a Yanderk stalker type situation. Just a fantasy though. Story 23. Kinda weird, but the idea of being magicked into a woman who is physically petite. I'm a 6 feet 180 pounds dude, and the idea of being just a really cute woman who is like 5 and $110 just really interests me. No idea where it comes from, because I'm not trans and wouldn't want to live as a woman in my current body at all. Story 25. I get really turned on when people start talking passionately about a thing they love. A video game, a book series, whatever it is. I don't even have to know what they're talking about. It's just seeing someone so passionate about something just immediately makes me want them. It's a bit embarrassing because it often turns into full-blown crushes. Story 26. I'm not ashamed of any kinks I have. So I'm going to answer your question as if it was. What is a controversial turn-on you have? For that, The answer is the nurses in Silent Hill, Homecoming. Story 27. When I was 9 or maybe 10, I was taken to the hospital to get a routine check. The doctor was an old, maybe in her 40s woman. She was checking out different parts of my body like my arms, my legs, etc. Then out of nowhere, and without any warning, she pulled down my pants and my underwear. As a kid, I'd spend a lot of nights watching Cinemax after midnight, so I thought she wanted to fuck me. My first reaction was to get a rock-hard boner. She just pulled my foreskin down to check if I was clean, and then pulled my pants up again. Story 29. Women's feet do it for me. I know it's a very common thing, but I am definitely ashamed to admit it, and I'll never tell anyone in real life. Story 30. My ex's mom. Story 31. My partner is saying he's gonna piss on me. The first time it came up in conversation, we was talking about kinks and what subreddits we liked. I may have mentioned I'm curious about one pertaining to this act. We are long distance now, but a couple nights before he had to move, we were in this dark bar, rowdy crowd. I was teasing him a bit, skirting around bringing it up because I was shy and I hadn't actually told him in person I wanted him to do it to me and felt a bit embarrassed. Saying things like, there's that one thing we haven't done that we talked about, that you told me we were going to do, yada yada. He grabs the back of my hair harshly and brings my ear close to his mouth, and he whispered, I'm going to piss on you before I move. The look in his eyes was animalistic, and my God, was I turned on. I can't believe I'm posting this, lol. Story 32. I'm a straight woman, but I've had women hit on me before and I liked it. I'm not sure if it's just because of the flattery though. I don't think I could ever sleep with a woman. Still gave me weird feelings. Story 33. When my wife is lactating. She seems okay with it most of the time, but a lot of women find that weird, gross. We've had 5 kids, and it takes all the willpower I have to not end up with 6, because I find it so hot. Story 34. Free use. Whether I get to or someone does to me. Story 35. Too ashamed to admit it. Story 36. Torture in a series or movie. Not real actual torture. I'm into BDSM and extremely aware of how important consent is, and honestly, I don't think I could even get it up if I thought my partner wasn't enthusiastically into what we're doing. But I will often get a chubby when someone is being tortured on TV, even when it's not sexual in nature at all. Story 38. Not ashamed to admit it, but old ladies. Story 39. Getting nips teased as a dude. Story 40. White trash does it for me. Story 41. I am turned on by the idea of being brutally sexually tortured. Story 42. Being loomed over from behind, like a living shadow. I don't know what it is, maybe it's the men I'm around or certain energies they give off when around me. But a specific a named tall man to whom would hold my pum-pum in his pocket if he could first, gave me the heart palps when he stood directly behind me, wasn't even facing me, didn't touch me, didn't speak, in a kinda restful stance, not really paying me any mind. And with a P. Story 43. The people asking these questions really know how to highlight the degeneracy in Reddit. Story 44. Women crying. WTF is wrong with me? Story 45. My own reflection in the mirror. I wanna fuck that guy. Story 46. This girl I was talking to told me that her turn-ons were being pinned down or being choked. I've never really gave that any thought, but since she mentioned it, all I can think about is doing that to her. She was hot, so of course that's even more of a turn-on. Story 47. My wife putting lots of weight on. The bigger she got, the hornier I was. Story 48. Once a dude paid me to be really, horribly mean to him over text. Really degrading shit. I got a little carried away and surprised myself. Haven't done anything like it since. Story 49. Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles. Story 50. When we switch who is the dominant side in intercourse rapidly. Story 51. Taken PP up but straight man. Story 52. Lola Bunny when I first saw Space Jam. Story 53. That one guy's wife. Story 54. I have a horrible ex who randomly tried licking, biting and kissing the outside of my ear. I hate to admit it, but it was hot, plus the breath against my ear just did something for me too. I've tried to do it to my current boyfriend to convince him in a way to do it to me, but I don't really know how and come off as having some gross ear fetish. Being forced to be in a position and praised but like aggressive. Also like a fantasy of them doing absolutely anything for me to love them or for me to be theirs. Freaking love that. Story 57. Femdom. Story 58. Hot lesbian shouting angrily at me in Russian to suck the dildo stuffed in her pants. Story 59. I'm just too ashamed to admit it. Story 60. Freckles. Story 61. Him telling me he's gonna put a baby in me. Story 62. As part of a pedicure, I had my feet and lower legs massaged. OMG. Felt like I should have been able to ask for a cigarette afterwards. Story 63. This is kinda weird, but when I was throwing broken tiles into a large trash bin, I got turned on by throwing them in the air like shuriken and watching them spin as they fell into said trash bin. Story 64. Trans women. As a heterosexual male, I'm a little confused. Story 65. Feet. Not just any feet. I don't go around looking for them, but when I'm already attracted to someone, I'm quite aroused by their feet. If I'm neutral towards someone, I just find feet gross. Story 66. When I was young, about 15, I went on holiday with my parents. There was a young holiday rep, about 30. I tapped one out thinking about her. Turns out my dirty bastard old man cheated on my mom with her, and she has been my stepmother for the last 25 years. My guiltiest tap out ever. She is like part of the family now, and fuck you dad for making that a thing.